fellow Patriots. Welcome back to another episode of Patriots of the American Republic. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So on January 20th, President Trump was inaugurated as our 47th president. It was an amazing moment to see all his political enemies watching him take the oath, and then Trump hammering each and every one of them, either directly or indirectly. You know, from crooked Hillary Clinton to sour-face Kamala Harris to the poisonous snake Obama, to Sleepy Joe, and then the weasel Chuck Schumer. They all looked on with contempt in their hearts. I would imagine you could clearly see it on their face. They were just not having a good time there. And as I watched with excitement and joy, I wondered how many of them thought a monster was about to be unleashed back at them. Based on everything they did to this man during his first term, and everything they did to try and prevent this man from winning his second term, they've got to be worried about the payback that was eventually going to come. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, it was going to be knocking on their doorsteps, right? So as Trump's reelection seemed more and more plausible, the media was already trying to box Trump into a corner by trying to get him to say that he wouldn't go after his political opponents. Trump responded with success was going to be his revenge. Now, he never said that he wouldn't go after them, but I think making America successful and going after those who wronged them can both be done simultaneously. But it's not his ego, so he's not doing this for himself, although, more than likely there's a part of it that is, but he's also doing it because no matter what, the Democrats are going to continue to do this, regardless of who's coming up down the line in 2028 or even in the midterms that are coming up, right? They are going to continue to do the same thing, or they can have the ability to do the same thing to any Republican candidate in the foreseeable future. So Trump knows that unless this corruption is exposed and dealt with, it will continue to assist with the decline this country seems to go through every time a Democrat is in charge. So, during the inauguration, he gave an amazing speech, right? He went over a multitude of policy changes he was going to be focused on. So I'm going to take things a little bit out of order here in the videos that we're about to see, but there's a reason why. I want to set up the context here. At some point during the speech, President Trump talked about common sense policies. Let's take a look at that first one.
Today I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
So, common sense. What type of common sense is he talking about? Because there's a lot of people that either A, don't have it, or B, they threw it out the window based on their emotions, right? So let's just hear a couple of examples.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Isn't it interesting that on a day like Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, President Trump has to clarify and redefine the exact message that MLK preached on, judging someone by the content of their heart versus their skin color, rewarding or hiring someone based on merit and skill and not because of their skin color or inclusion of gender, right? And as you can see there, right, he does mention gender. Now, it doesn't get much more common sense than the biological fact of two genders, male and female. As a subsequent, that means that men need to stay out of women's bathrooms and sports. A biological man, irrespective of whether you see yourself as a woman or a darn seal, should not be competing physically against a female. It's a dangerous disadvantage, excuse me. It's a dangerous disadvantage for just about every athletic female out there, and it's wrong. It's wrong. I would not want my daughter the day of tomorrow going up against a man, nor would I want my sons, potentially beating up on a woman, whether it's in the ring or in some other fashion. It's just so absurd. But anyhow, for contrast, here's what common sense, or the opposite of common sense, looks like. Let's check this out and tell me if you guys don't get a headache from this.
The rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. To do this, our process will be slightly different than the one outlined to you earlier this week. The order of balloting is designed to ensure equal access to the ballot, regardless of gender identity.
Yep, the typical woke gender stuff.
I don't know if you guys have a headache or dizzy after that video, but I know I am. So let's move on to the economy. The number one issue on everyone's mind is the economy and the impact to their lives. Trump promised a number of things during the campaign trail, such as doing away with taxes on tips and overtime for the American people. He also discussed reducing government spending with DOGE, which we covered in our previous episode. But let's take a listen to some of the things that he mentioned during the inauguration speech.
I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency.
Over the last 4 years, this channel has tackled illegal immigration and the open border issue on several occasions. The fact that Democrats kept trying to lie to the American people regarding the border crisis by initially denying it, and then apparently having been caught on several occasions abetting the infiltration of illegal immigrants, was undeniable. It was so undeniable that even Democratic voters began to voice their concerns, disapprovals, and outrage over illegal immigrants coming into our country and receiving benefits Americans were sorely in need of. On several CNN segments, their audience had the economy and illegal immigration as their top priority, where over half of their population supported mass deportations of illegal immigrants.
Deporting all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% of the New York Times, Marquette 64%, CBS News 57%, ABC News with a slightly different question 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters. You go back to 2015, I'm going to come to your side of the screen, it was 42%. Hello. Go to 2016, it was 36%. Look at where we are now. This was taken at the end of last year, 56%. This is 20 points higher than it was just before Trump got into office the first time.
So the people who are throwing a hissy fit over the deportations and accusing the right of being either racist or xenophobic need to stop that garbage, because more than half of their own constituents are also supporting the deportations. But of course, the media is going to be the media, and they are going to do everything that they can to muddy the waters in order to emotionally manipulate the people who can be manipulated easily, right? So Borders Are Tom Homan has been relentless in going after criminal aliens here illegally. As a matter of fact, I've seen some reports saying that border crossings are down a huge amount. Like I saw one report, I haven't validated, but it was like 93%. You'd think that the left would be supportive of getting rid of these people who have committed violent crimes, but no, unfortunately, that isn't the case. They seemed outraged by all deportations. They've tried several times to throw shade on the administration for even deporting non-criminal aliens. Here's our wonderful new press secretary with the perfect definition and response.
The president is open to deporting individuals who have broken our nation's immigration laws. So if they are here illegally, then certainly he is open to deporting them. And that's what this administration is hard at work at doing. We receive data from DHS and from ICE every single day. From what we hear on the ground, ICE agents are feeling incredibly empowered right now because they actually have a leader in this building who is supporting them in doing their jobs that they were hired to do, which is to detain, arrest, and deport illegal criminals who have invaded our nation's borders over the past 4 years. That's what the president is committed to seeing. Peter.
Very quickly, just following up on the question on immigration first. President Trump, during the course of the campaign in 2024, said the following about illegal immigration. He said, they're going back home where they belong, and we start with the criminals. There are many criminals. NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore, you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, it's not violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
I love her non-political, politically correct response, right? She clearly defined what's going on. Now, the stupidity behind the question is astounding, given the fact that this is an actual White House reporter. So if ICE has a raid and they find like 100 illegal aliens, and 10 or maybe 25 of them don't have a hardened criminal record, is the expectation that ICE is going to ignore their job mandate and just let them go? I mean, where else can we apply that to when it comes to law enforcement? I mean, if there's an undercover cop or something like that, and if they're targeting a specific criminal and other criminals get involved, don't they broaden their scope of their undercover sting operation? Don't they go after, or they arrest everybody that's involved in that crime and not just that one specific individual? Right? It's no different. And our press secretary clearly reminds and wonderfully articulates these people broke federal law, because some people, the left is trying to say, well, that's a civil issue. It's not a hardened crime. No, it's a federal crime, which no American citizen can do. No American citizen is able to break a federal law. So if an American citizen isn't allowed to break federal law, even less should be someone who is not from this country. Now, as everyone has heard by now, some dummies like actress Selena Gomez have taken to social media to cry about the deportations. Let's take a look.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise. I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
What's she crying about? The deportation of predominantly criminals? Is that what she's really crying about? She mentioned the children and doesn't know what to do regarding her people. Wait, isn't she American? You see, this right here is the problem that I have with the Hispanic community, and it's an issue I voiced on this channel and in prior videos. The majority of the Hispanic community only identifies themselves as American when it's beneficial. I mean, wasn't J-Lo talking about, we're Americans too, during a campaign rally for Kamala Harris? But here in this instance, Hispanics born in America aren't really American because obviously Selena Gomez doesn't see herself as an American. If you're born in America, you're an American. If you legally migrated here and are a U.S. citizen, you're an American. It's darn time for us to love this country more, since it's the one that we're currently living in. There's a reason people left their home countries and came here. So I think it's time that we start acknowledging that you're living in a better country than the one that you left from, and your loyalty should be to this one. The sad part about this video is knowing hundreds of Americans, black, white, and Hispanic ones, died at the hands of these criminal aliens who never should have been here to begin with. So why didn't Ms. Gomez cry for them? Where's the video of tears for those children that were killed at the hands of these illegal immigrants?
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. The White House responding to the now deleted viral video of actress Selena Gomez weeping over mass deportations. The administration posting a video featuring angel moms Patty Morin, Alexis Ngari, and Tammy Nobles. Watch this.
You don't know who you're crying for. What about our children who were brutally murdered and raped and beat to death and left on the floor by these illegal immigrants?
I just feel like it's a ruse to deceive people and to garner sympathy for lawlessness.
I wish I could do something, but I can't.
My daughter was a child. There's many other children whose lives were taken due to people who crossed here illegally.
They didn't cry for our daughters.
It's really sad. Now, she says that she doesn't know what she can do. Yeah, maybe she could take all the millions that she's benefited from in this country and move to Mexico and invest all of it and help build her people up over there. Why does everyone look at my country as the problem solver? Why don't people like this go to the Latin countries and protest against government corruption over there and help change the system so it benefits those people over there? Well, we all know why. We all know why that doesn't happen, right? But about 2 years ago, I showed a video of illegals coming over here in a caravan, waving the flag of their country. We saw, we saw the Mexican one, we saw the Colombian one, saw the Venezuelan one, saw the Nicaraguan one. Imagine breaking into another country and instead of carrying the flag of the country you want to be a part of, no, instead you carry the flag of the country you're fleeing from. I mean, what kind of a clown world, Twilight Zone garbage do we live in? So this past week, reports from LA and Seattle showing protests from the Hispanic community, unsure if they're legal or illegal, or I'm willing to bet it's a mixture of the two, right? In these videos. But in this video, you can see them carrying the flags while burning mine, and it absolutely aggravates me.
Yesterday, thousands of people hit the streets in Los Angeles to protest the Trump 2.0 administration, rounding up and arresting their favorite drug dealers and what will ultimately be millions of other criminals, most of them waving foreign flags and breaking the law, interrupting the flow of traffic on major streets, including the historic Highway 101. Aside from waving flags and showing allegiance to their homelands, they also burned our flag, showing the disdain that they have for the country that they invaded and are occupying. So far, as of late Sunday night, I haven't seen a single report about a single arrest, and there are rumors that the Los Angeles mayor ordered a stand-down order, and there are clips of police packing up their gear and just leaving. A similar scene in Seattle's Alki Beach, where you can see the criminal invaders are proudly waving the flag that they helped to hoist over the White House if they are able to conquer our land.
In that video, I saw a number of different flags. Obviously, the Mexican one was the most predominant one. Saw the Colombian flag. I saw the Nicaraguan flag. I saw the Honduras flag. And I even saw the Peruvian flag. And it absolutely angers me when I see my flag being disrespected and being burnt. So, and let's be real. This type of action creates an opposite reaction. We talked about racism in prior videos and white nationalism, and examples like this fuel that type of mentality and that type of ideology, and it's really hard to combat both sides because both sides have evidence that kind of offsets one another. But anyhow, Trump's deportation plan is long overdue. I've supported it, and I continue to support it, and it's nothing new, to be quite honest with you. I've always been against illegal immigration since I was a teenager, and I saw it firsthand as illegals would come in and take the jobs of legal Hispanic migrants, because the area that I grew up in was predominantly black and Hispanic. It was split between 50-50, right? But I also support the fact that every country has a right to defend and protect its own borders. Every country has a right to say, no, I don't want people to come in, or yes, we do want people to come in, right? It's no different than a house. Somebody knocks on your door, you allow them, you look and you allow them to either A, come in, or you say, nope, we're not opening the door to you. And I want to remind the audience, this has nothing to do with race, and it has everything to do with legality. Again, having Latino blood in me, I cannot go into any Latin country illegally. I would be immediately arrested, and whatever laws they have would be implemented. Heck, even as a tourist, we are required to follow every law of the country that we're visiting. So again, I have to ask, why is any foreigner, irrespective of their origin, allowed to break any of our laws? Shouldn't happen, right? So it's only been about 3 weeks, and many world leaders have been volunteering to play a game called Mess Around and Find Out. Our first contestant was the Colombian President Gustavo Petro. who had refused to take back some Colombian illegal immigrants or criminals back into Colombia. President Trump immediately threatened this guy with tariffs, and in less than 24 hours, the guy caves. Contestant number 2, Nicolas Maduro and his illegitimate regime in Venezuela released 6 American prisoners and also agreed to take back criminal aliens or else face consequences. I don't know what those consequences are, but after Trump sent an envoy over there, quickly caved. Contestant number 3 is Jose Raul Mulino, president of Panama. Mr. Mulino apparently was essentially giving loads of benefits to China while being unfair to the U.S., who built the Panama Canal for them. Thanks to a visit from our great Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Panamanian president caved within 24 hours. He agreed not to renew their deal with China while providing massive trade benefits to the U.S. Contestant number 4, Mexican President Claudia Pardo. And then contestant number 5 is Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Both were threatened with a 25% tariff increase if they didn't do more to secure the border and obviously Mexico take back their illegal aliens. Both took a ridiculous stance of defiance, which made them look ridiculous as they threatened to increase tariffs by 25% on the U.S. It's clear, it's really clear when someone becomes emotional because logic goes right out the window. As the U.S. doesn't depend on either of these two countries the way that they depend on us, right? The amount of trades is disproportionate. We're about a fraction of the things, of the goods that come from both of these countries, where in their case, it's quite the opposite. They get a lot of products, right? They do a lot of business with the U.S. So it's quite different. But let's take a look at this and see how it all plays out.
You know those tariffs President Trump announced he was going to place on Mexico, Canada, and China that the Democrats screamed at the top of their lungs was going to crash our economy and cause avocados to become too expensive to eat? Well, before they even went into place, just a couple days after he announced his plans, has caved and then agreed to put 10,000 of their National Guard troops on their border in order to strengthen Donald Trump's efforts to block the flow of drugs and people into our country. And Prime Minister Blackface Justin Trudeau up there in Canada also caved and posted this online saying that he just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is going to now implement their $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl, because some of it actually comes in through the Canadian border. And nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the northern border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. They will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. And he also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime, and we'll be backing it with $200 million. So the tariffs, again, which haven't even gone into effect, have been paused. And this was all part of Donald Trump's brilliant negotiation tactic.
You know, the two looked even more ridiculous, as you can see there, because on a global scale, they both caved within 24 to 48 hours to Trump's demands of having nothing more than securing the border and taking back their people. So they had this international act of defiance or stance of defiance, and then within a few hours, they cave. You know, Trump has been an international powerhouse as well as a domestic one. The time of America being taken advantage of has stopped, at least for the next 4 years. And God willing, another solid Republican wins and continues the America First movement. Securing our border is more crucial than ever before, as the cartels have upgraded their boldness and have been empowered, unfortunately, by the stupidity of the Democrats.
We also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that this is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them, hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley. And they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions. So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Wow. By Democrats allowing and encouraging an open border policy, how much do you think these cartels have made over the last 4 years? There's a meme I saw a while ago that had a picture of Joe Biden, and it had cartel employee of the month or of the year. And it's a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous situation for us here. It's a dangerous situation for all of those illegals also, because how many of them were abused sexually and worse, in some cases killed, right? Now, prior to the election day, President Trump put out a video on some of the key policies he wants to focus in on should he win the election. Out of all of the things he covered, which we've gone over some of them, some of them during, today's video, one stood out to me the most, and it's something that I have wanted, to see happen for a very long time, and I just know that it's not really possible. It's more than likely impossible, but that is going to be congressional term limits.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
After the events of World War II, Congress managed to ratify the 22nd Amendment in 1951, imposing term limits to the seat of the presidency, thus limiting the power of the U.S. president. Now, this can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on which side of the political aisle you're on, as I would shudder to think Obama could have gotten a third or fourth term if he were not limited, and then I'm pretty sure that our country would definitely be would be destroyed because we can see the decline. At least I saw the decline from his term forward, right? Now, what's interesting is how they certainly didn't limit their own power. These career politicians like Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell have managed to stay in political power for far too long, giving them the ability to run interference against the president and eventually outlasting them. This is an ability that can easily be used in a corrupt manner that does nothing more than serve their own corrupt interests versus what's right for this country and the people. Out of all the plans Trump has, this one fascinates me the most, since he will need 2/3 of both congressional chambers and 3/4 of state legislators in order for him to make that happen. And just looking at it from the outside, I have no clue how he plans to do it. But if we are to prevent the decline of this country, we must implement key policies such as congressional term limits in order to limit the corruption as much as possible, right? Now, it's only been 3 weeks since President Trump's inauguration, and it has been a flurry of news cycles based on executive orders, government policy changes, and delivering on the promises he made on the campaign trail. It's an exciting time to see him keep his promises as well as watching the left implode. Now, in addition to all the great ideas Trump has, there are a few I'd like to mention that I think will continue to help our society improve here in the U.S., right? One of the things I'd like to throw out there is child safety rating, right? The left has tried their best to sneak inappropriate material into children's books, TV shows, and movies. As parents, I think we should know if there's any material that may cause gender confusion. And just like everything has a rating for violence, sexual content, and foul language, there should also be one regarding LGBTQ material. We need to be sure of what our children are watching, or what material, what information is being fed to them, right? I would not agree with my children watching inappropriate heterosexual material that goes beyond what a child should be watching, right? So likewise, we need to redefine what constitutes an asylum seeker. As we can see, the current definition has been massively abused, over the last 4 years, and even before that, right? Revoking birthright citizenship, which Trump has done, but is currently being challenged by federal judges. I'm sure he knew this would happen, and taking it to the Supreme Court is part of the plan, I would imagine, right? This is essential because being an American is a privilege, and one shouldn't be granted that privilege by breaking U.S. federal law, right? Voter ID, securing the integrity of our elections is crucial so that another 2020 doesn't happen, right? Because we know, honestly, the Democrats have lost touch with a large portion of America, including their own base, right? And so I have no doubt in my mind that the dirty tricks are going to continue. Some of them showed up in 2024, and thankfully people like Lara Trump were prepared, as we covered on one of our episodes just a few months ago, right before the election. Finally, we do need congressional reform. Not only should term limits be imposed on Congress, but also how they conduct business. They need to stop mixing domestic and international issues or items into a bill. And all members of Congress must be allowed at least 2 weeks before voting on the proposed bill. So proposing a 3,000-page bill and having to vote on it within 24 to 48 hours is unacceptable. Nobody has the appropriate amount of time to read through 1, 2, 3,000 pages to be accurately able to properly vote on the material or the items within it. It's unacceptable. In addition to that, Congress shouldn't be allowed to vote on their own raises. Only bosses get to do that, and they aren't bosses. They are supposed to be public servants, and we are the boss. Their salaries should be based on 2 things: the median average household income of their constituents factored in with the cost of living. Want a raise? Increase the income of the people you represent. That's how you should get a raise. You shouldn't be allowed to give yourself a raise and you yourselves are voting on it. Like if you were allowed to vote on your own raise, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you vote and max out your raise? Yeah, sure, I'll take a 5 or 6% instead of a 3%. Right? I mean, it's absolutely absurd. No other place, unless you are, again, your own individual boss. And then you have to factor in, well, the more money I put in my pocket, the less money gets invested back into the company and growth, right? If you grow your company, then you get more because it's all based on percentages. Anyhow, these are just some ideas I have that need to be addressed in order to try and prevent as much government corruption as possible. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Hope you found it informative. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and share it out there if you enjoyed it and you wish to have others see it. Guys, thank you so much. Like I said, God bless our country. God bless Donald Trump and all that he's doing. And we need to support this man and what he's doing to change our country for the better every step of the way. So guys, until next time, take out. God bless you. Bye-bye.